Hey you! Do you like exploring the galaxy? Do you like to encounter strange new worlds and new civilizations? And then blow them up? Then I might have the game for you. Star Trek Online. Star Trek Online is a free-to-play action MMORPG developed by Cryptic Studios and published by Arc Games, set in the massive Star Trek universe. In this game, you can fly your own ship, assemble your crew and away team, and take in the sights of one of the most famous sci-fi universes to ever be created. Star Trek has a personal history with me, since it's not only one of the first pieces of science fiction media I was introduced to, with The Next Generation being my favorite Star Trek show, it is also my second favorite universe overall, with only Halo narrowly beating it. STO is also one of my longest played games, which has given me a lot of time to watch it change over the years. But not all of the changes were pleasant, and some of the more recent business decisions made me facepalm so hard that it echoed. So allow me to enlighten you all on a game that I have been with for many years. This is Star Trek Online, a fun but flawed final frontier. Let's get the positives out of the way first, because there is actually quite a lot here. This is a game that is honestly true when it means free to play. It is not like Destiny 2 that says it's free to play when it's more like free to try. STO actually does not hide any piece of playable content behind a paywall. All story missions, patrols, factions, social zones, and co-op activities are available right from the start without having you to drop a single penny. This is where you can choose your faction, where you want to make a new character, and you have 6 choices to pick from: Starfleet, Klingon, Romulan, Dominion, Starfleet but 60s, and Starfleet but cringe. Each faction has their own set of unique story missions as well, in order to give your character their placement in the timeline that Star Trek Online has, which is right after Star Trek Nemesis. Speaking of story missions, there are a ton of them. There are over 125 story missions, or episodes, to play, and a lot of the most recent ones have really creative environments and gameplay. These missions fling you all across the galaxy, allowing you to encounter the classic races, characters, and planets from all the Star Trek shows and storylines. You will also encounter species and people that never were in Star Trek in the first place, but fit into the world incredibly well. And finally, one of the coolest aspects of this game is the fact that the actual actors from the shows come in to voice their respective characters in the game, such as Harry Kim.
Nice shot! Let's deal with the rest of them now!
Worf.
You think you have corrected the issue? Consider what happened to the Day Ones.
Janeway.
Good to see you again. I wish we were meeting under better circumstances.
Quark.
Rule 0. What the Nagus wants, we acquire.
And Garrick.
Perhaps they're still attacking due to a deep hatred of your people.
This alone gives a lot of reason to try out the game. But wait! There is more! The actual creation of your character and building of your ship is another big aspect of this game. Each faction has 3 classes you can play, and these are Tactical, Engineering, and Science Officer, and each have their own perks and playstyle. Tactical is all about being an aggressive damage dealer, and is my personal choice, because my single brain cell does a happy when a big damage number appears over some schmuck's head. You may not have a lot of options when it comes to healing, but it really does not matter when you can make your DPS so high you become a walking extinction event. Engineering is all about making your ship so tanky it is impossible to kill, as well as slapping all sorts of mines, turrets, mortars, and drones on the ground and then saying to the enemy, "Fight me." And last but not least, we have Science. In space, you can be a super healer, or power-spamming killer that flings out black holes, gravity pulses, and other wacky crap, and on the ground is the same, except with ice blasts, firestorms, and temporal shenanigans. Still, I like tactical, because big gun damage do good. Also, I get a wrist-mounted torpedo launcher. Building your starship is also a big part of this game, and there are so many ways to build your ship. Weapon type, damage type, ship tier, and more all come into play when figuring out how to take to the stars. Some ships are incredibly agile, but die if they get sneezed on too hard. Others are slow and beefy, and others are a nice balance in between. This is not even mentioning things such as special traits you can unlock, consoles that can improve damage as well as unlock extra abilities, and specializations to level that can give you even more abilities and shenanigans to unlock. Another thing that Star Trek Online does exceptionally well is the seasonal events it provides. We have a summer vacation on the geo-engineered sex-happy beach planet, no sex though, a winter-themed pocket dimension to play in that was designed by a being that is basically a god, and finally, a romp through a haunted castle filled with witches, skeletons, extra-dimensional life-sucking aliens, and of course, spiders. These are always some of the most popular events that Star Trek Online brings to the table, especially since they always reward some really unique weapon or some special ship for those who participate. Finally, there are other activities to indulge in, like open PvE battle zones, match-made cooperative missions, random space encounters, patrols, and a couple of PvPvE zones for true pure chaos. The sheer amount of stuff to do in STO is actually amazing for a game that only asks you to click the install button to unlock it all. It is hard to find these days a game that says free to play that does not hide activities behind a threat to your wallet. However, all of these great things come with a lot of baggage, some of which stick out further than a truck tow hitch. It turns out that even the supposed utopia that is the Star Trek galaxy is not perfect. Let's get the big elephant in the room out of the way. This game is old. Star Trek Online has now been going for over 14 years, and unfortunately, it is really starting to show it in a lot of areas. The biggest way that you can see this is if you visit some of the older areas in this game that have not been touched for a remaster. These places are filled with so many graphical glitches and errors that you might think this game was made by Ubisoft. The worst offenders of these are the battle zones on New Kara and the Dyson Sphere, and these are only a couple of examples. There are far more problems on older missions that you can replay, giving a feeling that the devs have given up on brushing up these areas. Outside of that, the engine itself is starting to feel like it has reached its limit and is needing a replacement or update. The gameplay of STO is archaic now, to put it best, especially the ground combat, with the way that a game relying on mainly ranged combat uses a classic click on target until they stop twitching form like most other MMOs. The space gameplay is not free from this either. While the stats have a lot of layers to them when it comes to building your ship, there really is not anything big when it comes to actually using your items and ship. There are no animated turrets or parts. Your ship can move at ridiculously fast speeds to the point of it looking silly, and there is no actual strategy to the combat. You can't target specific parts of a vessel, go after crew, or really do anything creative when it comes to fighting in space. Just pew-pew the thing until there's nothing left to pew on screen. Speaking of pew-pew, some of the effects in this game can actually be eye-hurting levels of ridiculous. There are some examples that you may have already seen on the ground, but it is even worse in space, to the point of just having to give up on trying to figure out what's happening. Just look at this nonsense from the science vessel. Even just activating buffs on my tactical character can be too much, and also insanely loud. In fact, the audio syncing in this game is all over the place. Some areas have the ambient noise drowning out everything unless you turn it way down. The voices are way too quiet, and some of the effects are ear-bleedingly loud. Unless you really mess with the sound settings in the game, it is going to sound incredibly off or just awkward. Finally, while I did mention that there are a ton of missions and that most of them are good or great, when they are bad, it's really bad. Horrible writing, dull gameplay, bad voice acting, and more plague this game in many random areas. A lot of the cutscenes in the older missions are also victims of this game's age, with many having stiff and robotic animations, cringe lines and voice acting, and just having them glitch out.
The ruins are ours!
Quick, this way!
Alright, quick spoiler thing here for those who are interested. I'll give you some time to skip it. Okay, time's up. The current storyline is also a big issue, since it is honestly one of the worst ones to come out the more I think about it. It is just another multiverse style that many people, including me, are sick of. The Aetherians I am already tired of, and the most recent mission just dropped the main Borg enemy for a brand new one that is honestly incredibly unfun to fight, and overall did nothing to continue the storyline. The only other dimension things that work for Star Trek, in my opinion, are the Mirror Universe and Fluidic Space. Stop doing the multiverse stuff! These are some of the biggest things holding this game back from its chance at being a top dog in the MMO world. But there is one more problem that is so big that it requires its own section. This is the biggest negative that Star Trek Online has on its roster, and there is no way to avoid it. The monetization in the game has gotten incredibly egregious to the point of pretty much forcing you to spend shiploads of cash in order to make a build that functions in the highest challenges. This means that there is really no incredible skill now in making a great endgame build. All it really requires is you to fling enough cash at the screen to the point of your bank starting to call you and ask weird questions like, what the hell is a warp core and why did it cost you $30 to get it? The money flinging in STO can really be divided into two different forms. The first is the Zen store. No, not that Zen. No, not that Zen either. This Zen. The Zen store is the fancy name for the cash shop in the game that allows you to buy everything from uniforms to character slots and finally tier 6 starships. Now, a lot of these items are admittedly not super surprising. This is a free-to-play game after all, money has to be made in some way. The character, ship, and inventory slots are something that is alright, but it is a lot of the later and more desirable items where the prices start sliding into the area of overkill with the cost. For example, tier 6 ships, the only ships that are really viable in the later game due to their item slots and the traits that they come with, are $30 per ship. With the amount of ships available to buy, and with some of them locked behind even more expensive special bundle packs, this means you have to spend hundreds of dollars in order to get some of the stuff you want. It got even worse, however, when Cryptic decided to introduce special improvement items to the shop. And while there are sales that pop up, the discount is usually around only 20 to 25%, so it is not a massive decrease, but it is enough to make it less painful. The Zen store, though, has a buffer to protect it. Most of the items in it are account unlocks, meaning that you buy it once and you never need to purchase it again, with the best example being, of course, the starships. This is not where most of the money problems lie, though. Expensive as it may be sometimes, the Zen store does not draw anywhere close to the amount of ire the other monetization source does. The loot box! And to make it even worse, Star Trek Online has 2 versions of them that piss people off. These things drive players mad like nothing else in the game. For one, none of the items gained from them are account unlocks, so if there is a ship in there you want for multiple characters, you better hope your luck is good, because you'll have to roll the dice on every single one. And you're gonna want to roll for them, because a lot of the ships in these boxes have some of the best traits and weapons. The main form of the loot box in STO is the lockbox. This is the one that contains the most of the RNG-based cash items in the game, with the most desirable items in them being, of course, the space boats. The drop rates for the ships, however, are ridiculously low, and the cost to roll the dice for them with the master keys, the items used to unlock them, are $1.25 for a single key, or $11.25 for 10. Sometimes they do release a key ring bundle of 20 keys with an ultimate research boost for $22.50. These prices might seem odd. Why are they not just like 1 and 10? Ah, that's another little trick that this has. This means you have to buy the higher increments of the cash bundles in order to unlock them, in a way making them more expensive. It is easy to see how these costs can increase fast, especially since the boxes have a nice little chime and effect to them that incentivizes you to keep opening them. But wait, there is more. There are also the Infinity promotions. These are special promotions for research item packs or duty officer packs that, when the promotion is active, allows you the very small chance of getting a super rare T6 ship pack when opening them. These are way more expensive than the lockbox keys, with a single research pack costing $2.50 and a bundle of 4 for $8. The duty officer promotions are even worse, with one costing $3 and 4 costing $10. With all of this wrapped together in a nice, very pricey bow, this makes it almost guaranteed that you will need to drop insane amounts of cash in order to successfully play with all of the fun toys, making Stowe one of the worst offenders of being paid to win. Bad, Stowe. Bad. Shame on you. Also, if you have noticed that I have not mentioned PvP in this game at all, it exists. It's in there as an option to select. It's just dead. No one does it. That's about it. Yeah. Okay, moving on. Okay, this video went on a lot longer than I thought it would, but it seemed that I had a lot more to say on this game than I originally thought. Maybe it is due to the fact that it revolves around a franchise that I've been with since my childhood. Heck, my whole family is a bunch of Star Trek nerds, and all of them play it. The game does have a massive amount of issues, a lot of them being money-based, but it has a lot of bright spots. It does seem that Cryptic are aware of the player anger around the monetization, so they are offering a lot more options for people to get the ships for free. The main thing that is being done for this are the campaigns, a series of events leading up to the reward of a lot of stuff, so kudos to you. This was a good move. Besides that, the story missions are still, on the vast majority, a ton of fun. It is always great to hop on and mess around with friends, and there is an exorbitant amount of stuff to do. Heck, this game is honestly just an awesome single-player Star Trek experience if you just want a game to chillax with. If this was a Cowboy Reviews, it would get a 7 out of 10. A good amount of fun in a constantly expanding universe that is held back by its own aging existence and sheer company greed. It is still free to play though, so by all means, give it a go if you are curious. Who knows, you may find a new galaxy waiting for you to explore it. Or blow up, take your pick. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. This was a bit of a passion project I wanted to do as well, because like I said in the beginning, I've been playing this game for a while and I'm a huge Star Trek nerd, so ta-da! Next video planned is going to be another Cowboy Reviews, this time of Black Ops 6. It's been a bit since I played a Call of Duty game, so this is going to be interesting. I am going to get destroyed in the multiplayer, I am well aware. But, it'll be fun. I got zombies to play with. So, I look forward to giving that to y'all. Look forward to playing it. I will still be doing streaming content, so look forward to that as well. In the end, y'all are awesome. Y'all stay awesome. Y'all have a good one. Bye.